We are now down to 4 contestants, and the submissions for the new challenge have been received. Toytography Challenge starts right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Toytography Challenge. I am your host, Brian Carr, and we are here for another interesting episode. We have received the challenges from our contestants, and wow, I gotta say, I am already impressed. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Let's bring in our contestants right now. So first, we're gonna bring back to the stage. We have Alberto. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself, Brian? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And we're gonna see we have Ken as well. Hello, Ken.
Hey, how's everybody tonight?
We're here.
Doing good, yeah.
So good.
And also we have Ian. Hello, Ian.
Hey, good to be here.
All right, all right. And we also have George. Hello, George.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing?
Good.
We're doing good. We're doing good. So yeah, you guys have already submitted your images. How do you guys feel?
This was easier than the last challenge,
Yeah.
I will say. It
100%.
had its it had its difficulties, but it was definitely easier than the last challenge for me.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Well, at least you saw this one as a challenge, because yeah,
It was.
you're actually like, okay, this is. But you guys literally had a lot of well, again, the same as the first images. You guys had some like out of the box thinking. You guys are very creative with your design. So yeah, it was absolutely fantastic to see all of your new submissions. But before we move on and we discuss some other things, let's go ahead and bring our judges back onto the scene. First, starting off, we have Johnny. Hello, Johnny.
What's up,
Good to
guys?
see you, sir. And we have Sean Canary. Hello, sir. And we have Jesse.
Hey,
Hello,
everyone.
hello.
Sean's killing me over here.
So it's good to have you guys. How do you guys feel as far as being judges on here? Is it you enjoying yourselves?
Yeah, I'm having a great time. I'm glad I'm judging and not participating because man, these guys are having long weeks and or long nights and coming up with amazing content so far.
Yes.
Really cool stuff. Awesome
Yeah,
stuff.
I have to say I've been looking at these images and I'm just like, wow. And then my crew over here, as soon as the image comes in, they're like, let me see. So they get excited every single time they see you guys. So yeah, it's been absolutely wonderful to have you guys on here and see your creativity and to have you guys as judges as well. It's definitely looking forward to seeing your feedback on this, because I have to say, I guess that was I'll accept that was a mistake on my part, because for you and for the viewers, it's like how you guys are judging these photos. They kind of want to know like how you feel about the images, what kind of feedback you can give, what any kind of tips you can give to them for the next challenge or anytime they try and create something like that. And also, I'll say that this is one of the reasons why I wanted the three of you on here as judges, because you guys have background with working with companies, and because you've worked with toy companies, you know what they look for, and you know how to meet those demands and things like that. So you have a specific eye for these, for all your images, to make sure that they meet the criteria of different companies and things like that, so you know what to look for. So that's one of the reasons why we really enjoy having you guys here and hearing your feedback. So we missed it the last round, but this round for sure, as we are taking a look at the photos, we definitely want to hear your feedback on all the images that are brought up and yeah, we'll see what we can, get some good tips that we can use, that we can all, learn from. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that. So just to give a brief recap on what took place during our last episode, you guys had to face the challenge where you had to take all 5 of the figures that you received, and you had to create some unique images using all 5 figures, and those 5 figures had to be put in specific poses that kind of cater to the figure that you have to use for the entire challenge, and have it in that dynamic pose you guys put them in. So yeah, I gotta say that was right out the gate, that was a challenge. So yeah, so after we looked at all the points with everything, unfortunately we did lose one of our contestants, which was Mike Marin. He had the lowest score, so unfortunately he had to be the one to take the first hit. So with that said, before we jump into the photos, I'm going to remind you guys, what your current scores are, so you know where you stand, and then we'll tally up once we take a look at the new images that have been submitted. So currently, as of right now, George Jesus, you have 200 points. You're at the top right now. Second place, we have Alberto Hernandez with 196 points. Third place, we have Ian with 183 points. And we have Ken with 147 points. Considering the amount of points that you guys receive through each round, it can go anywhere, as far as the score. So literally, it could be like Ken is at the lowest, and based off of what he submits, it could bounce right up. So it's anyone's game when it comes to the scoring over here. So I'm definitely excited to see what you guys come up with and how you're going to end up. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the first image here. Let's see if we are going to take a look at, this is Ken's image. Yeah, that's pretty clever. So we have the flames coming out to the flaming hot Cheetos. So before we show the behind the scenes on this, Ken, what did you? Is there anything you want to share with us about the image?
Well, as soon as you announced the challenge, I knew it was going to be food that I wanted to use.
Okay.
And flaming hot Cheetos. Now, okay, so I live in Canada, and in Canada we don't have the kind of variety of things that you find in the States. Finding, I didn't have those. I went looking for them last night or the other night when you announced the challenge. So I had to go around to a couple of stores, but I found them. And so that was the biggest challenge. And then the other idea I had was something to do with popcorn. So I bought a couple of ears of corn, which were really expensive because it's very all out of season. And microwave popcorn, but then I abandoned that idea. I couldn't figure out a way to make it look kind of like, I don't know, natural as it could be with a toy blasting through food, anyways. So, yeah. So the biggest thing was the gas and the time it took to go to the dollar store to find some appropriate food items. And I did drink those 2 beers after, just so.
Pretty sure after you might have needed it when it was over with. So let's take a look at your video here. Wow, it's almost like either you or the Ghost Rider was mad the way you open up that bag.
Well, I ripped the bag open, and then I tried throwing the Cheetos at the figure, but everything was blurry. The shutter speed's not fast enough.
Okay.
And so then I ended up using all these terrible pieces of wire. There's probably a dozen wires sticking up out of my counter and from my cabinets and stuff.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That was a challenge too, because they didn't want to stand up. So.
Oh well, yes. Yeah. Yes, let's see. Wow. Well, that was a pretty clever image that you threw in there. So, guys, I'll go ahead and lead you into. Let's take a listen to let's see. Well, we'll start with you, Jesse.
Oh, sure.
What would you have to say about the image?
I love it, Ken. Awesome image. Can we see it again, Brian?
Yes, absolutely. I'll bring it right back up here.
There we go. Yeah. The first question I was going to ask you is how you got those Cheetos floating, if that was photoshopped in or not. But I saw the wires in the BTS, and that was brilliant, amazing. Yeah, I really like the composition. The lighting is maybe just a little flat. I'd like to see a little bit more dimension in it. But no, otherwise it's really fun. I like the fire effects. I love those Cheetos flying all over.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
One other thing that calls out to me, it looks like there's a little bit of a green cast to the entire image, and I'm not sure if that's a white balance issue or if maybe that was a color grading choice.
Yeah.
But it is something that catches my eye and throws me off a little bit. I think with all the red theme of the bike and the Cheetos, I think maybe leaning towards a little bit more magenta might have helped there. But man, what a shot with a phone. This is a great example of how when people talk about, oh, I don't have a big fancy camera or something, I can't do this. I mean, this is proof positive. You sure can with a little imagination and creativity. Absolutely.
Yes. That's
really nice, Ken.
The whole thing is I can't do it because I don't have a professional camera. You just proved them wrong. So
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I would have never guessed. No way.
Right. Sean, sir, how you feel about the image?
So love the Molson Canadian, big fan. And so I do think I like the Cheetos in the air. I think was done really well. And Ken, looking at your shot, in the previous episode and today's shot, I think that your work would best be suited if you try to maybe even dial back some of the effect work and some of the post work.
Okay.
I think your traditional photo is probably best suited for limited effects work. I think that the smoke being practical looks good, but I do a lot of too much. Some might say too much, like embers and stuff like that. And it's a delicate, tricky balance. And the flame on the tire, I think, is a tricky balance. I think you may have had a better result with the practical flame effect, and maybe ditching the flame on the chain itself. I do think that you've got that nice Dutch angle to your photo, which gives it better composition, and with him moving through the frame. But to echo Jesse's statement, I definitely think maybe there's a solid color overlay, or there's something that's kind of desaturating some of the photo and giving it that green tint. And I probably would have made some. And again, all of my feedback is coming from what personal choices would I have made.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. You took the challenge and you made the most of it. Going out to the store and getting flaming hot Cheetos is insane dedication. And you've earned those 2 beers by working through those challenges. There's no question about
beers if you want to know, but off camera.
Yes. But I would have made some different choices on the editing aspect of it. But I think overall, the idea that you came up with was executed in a way that is interesting. I just would have made different choices on the back end after the photo was taken. But to have this being taken with a smartphone with 24 hours notice is definitely a challenge, and it's great to see the result.
Yes. Yes. Good job. Johnny, sir.
Yeah. So I'll start this by saying that critiquing and giving feedback is not a strong suit of mine. I don't do it often, so bear with me here. Like, I feel like I would actually need to look at this for a while to like be fair and give you like real honest feedback. So just based off of what I'm seeing now for the time that I've seen it, one thing that like pops out immediately to me is like the coffee cups in the background. I feel like your composition, if you were to shift that and keep that out of frame, to me that just seems like a more concise photo automatically. I feel like there is a connection here with like Ghost Rider and like him being on fire and the flaming hot Cheetos. So I do, if that's what you're going for, I dig that. That makes sense. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep
Okay.
looking.
So the
Good
coffee cup stand was a choice because he was kind of getting lost. I didn't know what to have in the background because the backsplash is this tiled brick kind of thing, and
Yeah.
I wanted it to be very clearly a kitchen counter. I wanted it to be
Sure.
a toy blasting from the food. So I
Right.
needed something that was relatively solid and relatively light because it was too dark otherwise.
hmm
So that was
honestly, I could.
that was the reason behind that particular.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I just looking at this, me personally, this almost kind of looks like one image from a stop motion commercial for Flamin' Hot Cheetos. It's like, if it, blast out of the chips, something like that. If this was like a stop motion commercial for Flamin' Hot Cheetos, I would say this would be like one to flame from it, and it was just so that was really clever. That was pretty clever.
Thank you.
All right, so let's.
I was gonna add one last thing actually.
Oh, sure. Go ahead. Do
So-
you need to pull the image back up, or?
You can pull it back up. Just
Okay.
Yeah, it was just one more thing that I would add to the photo is like with an action shot. In my personal opinion, I feel like when you get close in, it like amplifies the intensity of the scene, and it's a little pulled back here. So I feel like if you were a little bit closer to it, it would just seem more like in your face, like added to the motion that you have going on in the photo as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I will. But also, I'm going to say this to all of the contestants, right? I will repeat this. I can imagine how challenging it was to do with your phone that's already out of your element, and then have to use a household item as well with the time frame. So hats off to you guys for taking the challenge on like that, because sitting in my seat, it's easy to speak here and give feedback. I will tell you that I wouldn't want to do the challenge.
Right.
Agreed.
So, transparent here. So, hats off to all of you guys.
Yes, because
Agreed.
I feel right now it's like if somebody was to issue that challenge to you guys, if like the company came to you and said, this is what we need, and we need it in 24 hours, you'd be like, I'm sorry, you need what?
I mean, when it comes to a company, it's like in an hour, or if you could be like, the next 20 minutes, can you do this? Well, I don't know, Cassidy or Sean, you experience things like that, but
I've taken time off from my day job because I got a call from a company where I had to go there to shoot stuff because they needed to get the marketing stuff out.
Oh, wow.
I have I work as a operations manager in legal, so I have an account on the East Coast, and I have employees from Boston to DC, and so I do that job a lot. But so when I got this, sometimes I get calls from this company, and I have to like drop everything and try to sneak it in.
Yes,
everything's always
you totally understand.
Yeah.
There's always a fire to be put out at a company.
You're right. Yes.
I'm fortunate enough where we're building a small creative team, so I have support now too.
Nice.
Do you have time for this? Do you have bandwidth for that? Okay, I've got this covered. You got that covered. So
Good for you.
All right. Let's take a look at our next photo. This is from George. There you are, sir.
Nice.
This is Vid. So right off the bat, I would say it's a cool image. But you're behind the scenes, man. So let's play that right now.
Yeah. He's actually frozen.
nice.
See, I say this is the reason why we love doing a toy photography, because you can do that and your model will not complain. So it's like, we'll go ahead and leave it in the freezer for a while and let you
stand in the water. I'll be back in a few hours. You'll be okay.
Right. Like, my goodness, man, that was
great.
The kids just want ice cream, and George is like, no.
All right.
Significant others like, close the freezer door. Close the freezer door.
Sean, man, we'll start with you. What would you like to say about the image?
So the first thing I want to say is that I'm familiar with his personal work, the work that he posts on Instagram.
Okay.
And I kind of would like, he does a lot of poster style stuff, lots of portrait type stuff, lots of like really intense backgrounds and environments and stuff. This is great. This is the stuff that I would like to see more creep into some of his personal work, because he has a specific approach that he uses when he creates stuff and he posts them online. Clearly it's in line with his personality and the stuff that he likes to do. But there's another side to him that we're seeing in this competition that I think I'd like to see creep into his personal work. Now, having said that, putting this character in the freezer, and you shot this on your cell phone?
Yeah, I shot it on my iPhone 16.
Wow.
Oh, so you use your new phone? I thought I told you to use your old phone. I'm
Are you smiling about the flip phone? Is that what you asked me to do?
Yeah. So composition wise, you can see his foot, that it's in the ice tray. And you can see him kind of reaching. I do like the triangular aspect of the composition. I like that I can tell that there's a bag of vegetables behind him and that he's in the freezer. It's maybe the background is a little too out of focus. I wouldn't have mind seeing that it took me a moment to realize that that's a tub of ice cream and that that's a bag of vegetables. I think it would be amazing. And there's not much that you can do to control that because you're taking it with your cell phone. That would have just sent it over the edge for me, but I do like the fact that there's this practical element with the ice, and then you've got the icicles hanging off of the rebreather mask there. I dig this photo. I'll stop rambling now.
Johnny, sir, what's your feedback?
Yeah, I like how you filled the frame with the figure, how he's all up in your face like that. I like the practical, like the ice, how you actually put him in there. That's all like this big dedication there on your end. One little thing that I will point out is like that droplet on the helmet is like a little bit out of scale in sense of like the figure. Like if it was a little bit smaller, something like I'm a stickler for things like that. When it comes to water on figures and things like that. So I would just say like maybe be a little bit more mindful of things like that when they're landing on the figure. And if you're doing it, like I know that was probably just like a little piece of ice that melted, and then that was like the little pool of it, so kind of out of your control in a sense there. But in like my own work, if I'm doing like practical like rain effects, I'll wipe a figure off. I get like crazy with it. So like but anyways.
But see, that's the unique thing about it, because see, by you. So you're noticing it. So if you're noticing it and you submitted this to the company for them to, use the photo, they would probably say something about it as well. Say that the drop, if it's something that's a little out of place, they would tell you, and then you have to, all right, let me go and fix this and stuff. So it's like, and again, because you have that eye for it, it's like, that's how I feel about it. So good catch. Definitely good catch.
Speaking of eye, I like how you have one shut off like that. That's
cool.
It's pretty cool.
I played with you having both.
Now I have to say before I move on to Jesse, I gotta tell him when George sent me the image, I said, man, please do not try and pose this figure while he's still cold. I was like, please let him thaw out before you start moving him, because this is your figure you're gonna use for the rest of the challenges. I do not want you to.
Well, pose all night and touch him.
Right.
Just to say something nice about our sponsor, I have that figure, and it is smooth. Like, it's not like other companies that make things in that scale that come in similar looking boxes with flaps on the front and a window.
Who could that be?
This figure did not need to be heated up. It did not need to. You don't need to swing a dead chicken above your head and pray to the gods. It's smooth. Anyway, please continue. Oh, other thing I want to say, and I think this is true for every photographer on here. Mm-hmm. Our personal work, I think, is vastly different than any professional work that we may do, and our approach to my approach to my personal work was so much different than the white knuckle ride whenever I do professional work. So my sensibilities when I do something professional versus something personal, it's much more intimate. It takes a lot longer. It's about doing something that I find meaningful or joyful. And work is typically unfun and has a ridiculous deadline and is just a completely different animal. So I just wanted to, there's a big separation, I think, between the two that I think is just important to know.
Yes.
Couldn't agree more.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Jesse, sir, what would you like to say about the image?
Yeah, if I could just piggyback off of Sean there for a quick second. Yeah, he's absolutely right about the difference between shooting for a product and shooting for creative. They are different worlds. Like in my experiences, it's been shooting for product. You have to have things very well lit, see most of the figure if you can, and you know, so an audience or a viewer or a customer can get a good sense of the figure.
Yes.
Whereas in my creative stuff, like Sean was saying, I take a lot more time with it. I will do more creative angles, more extreme angles, close-ups, things like that. So there is a big difference there between creative and professional work. But all that aside, yeah, this is awesome, George. And again, like Sean was saying, I've also known George for a long time, and we followed each other through this journey for quite a while. And this is really cool to see this type of work out of you, George.
Yeah,
I love your standard stuff, but this is cool. And Johnny and Sean have pretty much covered most everything I was going to say. I love the composition. I love how you're filling the frame. I love the glow of the one eye and the icicles. The icicles really sold it coming out of the gas mask. That is a great addition there. The eye that's off, I would almost like to see a little bit more light there. It looks like a bit of a black hole that keeps drawing my attention. But and then speaking of the lights, your behind the scenes video, your creative use of all the clamps and things to surround this sucker with light was great. And putting lights in the freezer, that was awesome. I'm going back and forth in my head on this. A little part of my brain wants to be able to read that word that's next to his head. So I don't know if that should move just to the left, but then that might be distracting. So I don't know that I actually want to see that.
Right.
So I'm a little torn there. But and I don't know if this is my feed, but it looks like it has a slight green cast to it, which works for the green eye of the character. And I think all of his accessories are green and kind of gas-like. But to emphasize the coldness of this shot, I maybe would have leaned a little bit bluer, but man, no, this is great. This is awesome.
Yes, actually, I remember that in the image that you submitted for the last challenge, the green that you put on the gun, that was a really good choice for that as well. That was pretty creative. All right, so let's see. Let's take a look at our next image here. Let's see. Here you go, Mr. Alberto.
Ooh.
There you go. This was pretty clever, man. I guess it's like, man, I could totally see him after a day's work. It's like, yeah, I'm sitting in my bed. So let's take a look at the behind the scenes.
Nice. Is that a coffee mug?
No, that's a mortar.
Oh,
okay.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
I would drink coffee out of that.
That's pretty clever there.
Nice.
Are those stacks on the sides 3.5-inch floppy disks?
No, they're my son's magnet tiles.
Oh, okay. Well, I just showed my age there.
No, right? No, believe me, I was thinking the same thing when I first saw it. I was like,
I remember being on floppy disks.
Yeah,
Where do you even get those anymore?
Exactly.
Target. So yeah, you can find them anywhere. Yeah.
Believe me, if they were this, that was going to be my next question. How do you still have those? And where do you put them? So, yeah, dude, that was pretty clever. So, Jesse, let's start with you, sir. What would you like to say about this?
Man. Oh, this is fantastic. Gosh, where do I begin? I love the composition, the color. I love the saturation of the color, the lighting, the hint of smoke coming out of the cauldron there. It's not too much. Man, now this is gorgeous. This is really nice. I'm speechless.
There you go.
This is great. No, Berto, this is fantastic. I'm trying to think if I would even change anything.
Yeah.
There's that little splash of green up in the upper left corner that maybe, I don't know if you wanted to crop in a little bit or, it's one of those things where you really have to be conscious of your edges. But it's not that bad. It's a little distracting, but man, this is great. This is awesome. I'm kind of speechless, Alberto. This is great.
Thanks, man.
Sean, sir, what would you like to say about the image?
Okay, so again, just like with George, I'm very familiar with my man Alberto's personal work, and I know that he is a big fan of really long exposures. And he had to shoot this one on a cell phone, which is the opposite. So, and what I do really like is that I think that for the contestants whose photos we've seen so far, their household item, it was used as kind of a household item. It was, George being in the freezer, Ken braving the elements and buying flaming hot Cheetos at the store. And like, you use your household element and made it something different, which I think is an interesting spin on the challenge. And you've got a light in there with him, I think, which is giving him that up lighting, which is making it look like Santa is kind of soaking his bones after a day of murdering or something, which I'm here for. He's got like a jug of ale and a pint of beer, which is phenomenal. And you've got the torches, and you've got the torches that kind of it's like he's almost on like this this dais, this throne where he's holding court in a hot tub. And I do like the way the torches put that light onto the wall as well. And then you've got the Christmas lights that kind of tie into the fact that he's returned to the North Pole and again is reliving the day's battles or something. And I like the way the light plays off the stone. I like the fact that you took that mortar and made it into something different, which I think is a unique approach to this challenge. So
thanks, man.
Little I like the angle. It's not straight on. You've got kind of you're kind of off to the side, and that 3/4 look where he's kind of looking over the camera with the glowing eyes. I like it. I like that.
Yes, very good. Very good. Johnny, what would you like to say, sir?
All right, I guess I get the scraps, huh? Honestly, not much to say, but except for like, this is great, man. I really love the use of the household item here. The lighting is great. The posing is great. Like everything, when I look at this, it makes sense immediately. And it's easy to digest right away, which is something when I try to do my own work, and also when I'm like scrolling on Instagram, it's like if something seems super busy, it's like I tend to like keep it moving, but like I see this, the lighting grabs me immediately, so I'm already like locked in, and then it also starts to draw my eye around the photo and look at all the other little pieces that you can put together here, which is all very well done. So great job, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Very nice.
Can I toss one more in there, Brian?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I got to throw one more compliment on there because this is the honest truth. I didn't think much of this figure at first, but I think you just sold me on it. I have a window open here now. I'm looking at the figure now. I'm like, man, now I kind of need that because that looks really tight, man. I love.
Jesse's gonna wander through the warehouse tomorrow.
Oh yeah, make a few phone calls. Hey, can you guys pull that figure for me real quick?
And this is like the power of like part of the like special magic of toy photography.
Totally.
Like this when you're scrolling, like I don't even care about that figure. I thought I didn't.
Yeah.
Yes. And I have to say this. So I experienced this, and I know a lot of you guys have experienced this as well. When you are looking, sometimes, I mean, and I understand you guys, background working for companies and things like that, but there are times you will look at a figure and you'll look at the promo shots for it, and you're like, oh, okay, that's great. All right. And you decide like, oh, I'm gonna pass. And then you see someone who doesn't like the whole figure, like what a promo shot would do, but they will highlight specific areas. then it pulls on your imagination, and you're like, oh my god, I gotta have this figure. You know,
Totally.
so it's like this is how, you know, the use of how we as photographers, you know, it's like sometimes we're the ones who end up selling that figure
Absolutely.
than
Absolutely.
like the regular shots of that. So yeah, I would say this is definitely a good job on that.
Scroll
Big
stopper.
time.
Yeah.
I bought the Hot Toys Balin skull because of Alberto.
Really?
Nice.
Yep, he's a jerk.
Yeah. Well, you know, actually,
Photo had a
Alberto,
hot-
yeah, you did. You did a good job on that particular image, Alberto. I will say that because I already wanted to have him, just, you know, as a respect to Ray Stevenson. But yeah, man, your image was just absolutely phenomenal with
Thanks,
him.
man.
So, yeah, absolutely. So, last but not least, this is Ian.
Nice.
And let's go ahead and pull up the behind the scenes on this. Where are you? There you are. When I first saw this, I was like, what is he doing? What? But yeah.
Oh wow. Very cool.
Ha!
Very cool.
Okay.
Dude.
Well,
Ian, you must be so tired.
Yeah,
know.
right?
yeah.
Dang.
I think after all this, I think Ken might send you a couple of them beers, man. Wow. Okay, so we're creating the blood here. Okay.
And not only the time it takes to do this creatively, but the time to film it
Yeah.
I
Right.
know.
all in one. Oh man.
Oh, I love a good blood splatter.
Right.
You know, the hardest part I had, like, so there was all kinds of cool texture and stuff, like black swirls and cool stuff in the crayons, and it was all lost in the phone sensor.
Mm.
There was no, like, when you go and look at the picture, you'll see the reds are just kind of blown out, and
Mm.
like the sensor just wasn't able to grab at all. And I also had a lot of trouble getting the clarity. So there's a head in the foreground there, and it's really hard to tell.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I see it now. I see it.
Yeah, which
Now the blood
could have.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a decapitated head among the candles, and I actually drew a pentagram with chalk.
Oh, you
for
can
that.
see it. Now you say that, I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See that,
but
yeah.
you know, the challenge with the phone photography is you're dealing with a tiny sensor. It is great that we have these things in our pockets and can capture anything at any moment. And if you don't have a camera, it's a great way to start. But like, I found it very limiting. Like I felt like I couldn't express what I was trying to express. But it's a challenge, you know.
Yeah.
I'm here for
Definitely
the
out of
challenge.
your
so.
comfort zone there. So.
Yeah. So I feel like I lost a lot of detail that I would have been able to get with my actual camera, but you know, I'm fairly happy with the way it came out.
Right.
It turned out better than I thought it would have.
Okay. Well, Johnny, I'm not gonna give you the scraps, man. So you're more than welcome to take first crack at this one.
All right. No, well, first I'll say A for effort, man. Like you really went in and like took all that time to film and make actual like practical candles. That's super cool and interesting. I definitely can see the challenge with the phone, as you were saying, you know, about the clarity and just not having control when you're used to just using your camera and stuff that you're used to using. I wouldn't have noticed that head until you said it, so I probably would have asked you why there was blood there. But now that I see it, obviously, as you said, it's hard to see just because the clarity and the quality of your phone. The idea of it I can see it making sense. One thing that stands out to me though is like the hand that's forward like that. It looks a little awkward how he's holding it. Like maybe it should be turned. It feels kind of like if you see my hand, like it feels like I'm looking at it from, could just be the clarity. Maybe I just can't fully see it, but it looks kind of like this from my perspective. So if it was turned more like this, it would just translate better. But maybe that's just my point of view and like the quality of the photo, which you could see. But yeah, I like how you have like some of the smoke coming off of him there, like off to the side. Yeah, and that again, the candles and stuff. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Really, really cool and interesting.
Yes.
Thanks, man.
Sean, what would you like to say, sir?
All right, so I'm going to start by saying I am literally wearing a shirt with Satan on it right now. I'm wearing a Slayer shirt. So pentagram,
plus 10 points.
Candles, decapitation. It's like you took this shot for me. So I like that. And I changed my shirt right before we started filming because I just got home from the office. Okay. I threw on a Slayer shirt. I mean, like, what? Anyway. So this is another good example of taking the household item, like kind of twisting the challenge in your favor, and taking that household item and not using it as a household item, but using it as this. I mean, and the candles came out so good. When I first saw the picture before I saw the BTS, I was like, where is the household item? Like, what?
Yeah, buddy.
So once I saw you cutting up the white crayons and melting them, I was like, holy shit, that's a so, and fun fact, I'm going to steal this idea from you. I'll give you credit.
Great.
But I tried to make candles once, and my dumbass, I melted down an actual candle and then tried to pour other smaller candles. Well, I'm not going to do that anymore. This is the way to do it.
I guess Sean's like, I'm gonna try this tonight.
It's great. It's really effective. It's like super effective.
Yeah.
So hats off to that. I think that again, being limited by the phone, I think you have these two great lights on the side, and the exposure on the phone is kind of, it's almost like there's so much light maybe that's there, but the picture looks just a touch underexposed. But that's the challenge, right, of working with a cell phone. Having done that myself, I started with cell phone photography, and going back to it is really difficult. But I like the way you've got the candles coming all the way to the camera itself, like kind of eating up that scenery in front of that the kneeling Ghost Rider.
That's kind of a signature of my style. Like, I always stack the foreground. Like, I always have to have that foreground just completely stacked.
I can see that. I'm very familiar with your personal work as well. So I can tell that, like, if most, like, actually, with a lot of your work, everybody in the challenge, when I see your work come up in my feed, you guys have such well-defined styles. I don't need to see whose name it is. I know,
absolutely.
I know whose photo it is. Like, I get notifications and stuff for a lot of people who post, but like, Ian, when I see your photo come up in my feed, without seeing your name, I know if it's really stacked, that it's your photo. You do have a signature style, and it's definitely apparent here. It made it into this photo. So yeah, there's a lot to love here. I personally, again, just from my own personal thinking, I can see the smoke coming off the candles and roiling around Ghost Rider. I maybe would have. It kind of just it cuts through the middle, and I like it. I probably would have maybe tried to use a little bit less of it, but in this photo, I think it works.
Nice. Jesse, what would you like to say?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's not a whole lot more I can add. Like, originality and creativity. Boom, Ian. Like, that is amazing with those candles. I know we've already talked about it, but that is so cool.
Thanks, man.
It's worth repeating. It's okay.
Yeah, like this is fantastic. And I guess, as far as the quality, like technical quality of the photo, which I don't really like to get into, but it's a phone, you're kind of short on dynamic range. So, you lose a little bit in the shadows there, but what can you do? Man, this just looks fantastic. I guess I think the final piece of advice I might give or change I would have made possibly is maybe tilted the camera up just a hair because I think we have a little bit for me, there's a little bit too much empty space on the bottom, and it kind of bugs my brain that we're cutting off the tip of the flame on his head. So I would have maybe tilted the camera up just a hair. That would have maybe put his skull on kind of the higher third line there, and just I would have just adjusted the composition a little bit, but that's minor, man. This is great. This is so cool.
Nice. All right. Well, those are images, and now you guys understand why it was just like, oh my gosh, man, this is like such amazing stuff. And then to see the behind the scenes, it's like, again, you guys are so creative with your images, and that's why you guys were just a great fit for the challenge.
Absolutely.
So now we're going to move on to our judging. So you guys are, if you guys haven't already, you guys are welcome to start sending in your scores. I would say
Now we got to go to work.
yeah.
I did it in real time this time. I'm done.
I'm doing my math
Okay.
right now.
Okay, cool. So it's funny that she has it. So I have, like I said, I have someone off to the side doing the score and everything, and she's just now taking a look at it because she was looking at everything at the same time I was, because she was like, I got to see this again. So, as you guys,
I think that the game was raised in this episode. I think that the challenge in the last episode was kind of did hamstring the contestants a little bit. This one gave them a lot more freedom to use their creative mind and really put it on display. It was really something tonight.
yes.
Absolutely. And
Yes.
yeah, this is not my line, but it's something someone said that stuck with me, and this challenge is proof positive of this.
Mhm.
Your phone is technically a mirrorless camera. It just is.
Right.
And if you treat it like a professional camera, you can get professional results. And this, you guys nailed it. Like, this was so awesome. I would have never guessed, unless you told me, I would have never guessed any of these were phone shots.
Right.
I really
Yes, that is the unique thing. It's like when you're looking at the shots, and again, this is really one of the reasons why we wanted to put in this challenge, because again, I have talked to people even now for as long, and they've been aware of toy photography for a while, but they have chosen to like, oh, I'll get into it when I get a better camera. But you guys totally proved it's like, no, you can totally pull stuff off with just your phone. Really, it's not the equipment, it's the user. As long as you have that eye, and really that eye can only enhance. You just once you keep doing it, you train that eye to look for specific things, and your style starts to come out. So it doesn't matter. I do know of one particular person who they use their phone and they're like, I am not going to use anything else but my phone. So
I applaud that. That's cool.
yeah, absolutely. So anytime he shows off his image, he was like, this was my phone and it's not going to change. So it's like, that's off to you, man, because there's some people that they love that. So you are literally proving that anything can be done with it, as long as it's the user, not the equipment. You too can be a great toy photographer just like these contestants, and we can give you the knowledge to help you and inspire you along the way with Toytography Magazine. Our quarterly magazine will give you tips on lighting, posing, camera tricks, and more. We feature interviews with some of the best toy photographers and even include diorama build tutorials. So head over to toytographymag.com and order your copy today. It's both available in digital and print. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, my buddy, the Imperial Grunt, uses his phone for certain shots if he wants to get really embedded. If he's shooting something in a vehicle, sometimes he'll use his phone, and sometimes I have to ask him if it was his phone or his DSLR, because sometimes with him it's hard to tell.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Makes me wish, man, when I was a kid, if I had a phone and had this like photo and video capabilities, man, how things would have
No.
been different.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't have blown up my GI Joe figures with firecrackers.
Yeah, I
Well, you
wouldn't
would
have
have had
burned my
footage.
Mighty Maxes on my parents' halogen lamp.
Yes,
Oh.
yeah. I mean, but also just to say that we have seen the improvement over the years from figures. Because the smaller GI Joe figures today are definitely not the same as the GI Joes back then, because they didn't have the kung fu grip. They just had the little cup hand.
The claw.
That's all you got. So it's like, yeah, we've seen just toys evolve, and with the evolution of those toys, the evolution of our imaginations have come out. So it is just absolutely amazing to see how far we've come to this. So yeah, this is absolutely great. Absolutely great.
There's a kid named Anthony Schmidt. I don't know if you guys are familiar
Oh
with
yeah.
Yep.
and he does miniature
The cars.
and trucks,
Yes.
things. And some of his stuff, most of his stuff is mind-bogglingly
Yes.
impressive.
Yeah.
And he shoots all
You
mobile,
would
doesn't
never know it's not full-size
he? Yeah. Yep.
material.
Yes, I believe he only uses his phone.
And he
as
only
well.
uses his
Yeah.
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 He
Yeah.
sets up like a little diorama
yeah.
terrain base, and then
Right.
he
On
makes it look
site.
like the cars
Yeah.
are parked at the diner or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Right. That
Yeah,
is. I
super
mean,
talented.
It's
that
incredible.
is absolutely impressive to see all the stuff. And I know his he sells calendars like
Yeah,
crazy.
books and calendars, and he's got a whole enterprise going. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's really cool.
All right. So the results are in, gentlemen. The results are in. First place, we have Alberto with 334 points. Very nice, sir.
Nice.
Very nice. Second place, we have George with 328 points. All right. And now down to our final two. So the person who has come in third place is Ian with 306 points. And that puts Ken at 241 points. So, Ken, sir, you have the lowest score. Oh, this will be our final moment with you, sir.
That's it,
I would say that you did a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm I said this, Brian, to you. I'm in awe of this competition and the work. I of course I went online and made sure I was familiar with everybody and their work, and it's absolutely incredible and inspiring, and it's just awesome. It makes you want to raise your game, right? So I'm glad to be a part of it, and yeah, congratulations to everybody who's moving on, and I can't wait to see how this all plays out for everybody. It's awesome.
Yes. Well, thank you, Ken, for being a part of this. Sir, it's like I said, you definitely brought your game to it, and you did a phenomenal job to it, sir. So thank you again for participating, and glad that you at least made it this far, sir.
I'm gonna go play with my toys.
All right, sir. Take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ken.
Good luck, everybody.
All right.
Thanks, man. Take care.
All right, gentlemen. Let's see. So the next challenge that you guys are going to face is going to be reflections. Okay. This is a challenge where you guys are going to have to create some kind of mirror image, either using water or using mirrors or some kind of material that is reflective. But yeah, you guys are going to have to create a mirror image. So this particular one is going to be a little tricky, but what we want is we don't want you guys to use any kind of editing tools to create that reflective image. Okay, so there is some editing involved where you guys can, you do your lighting and other After Effects that you want to use, but for the most part, we don't want you guys to use any editing tools to create that reflective image. So we want that part of your photo to be practical, and we should be able to see the whole thing when it comes to your behind the scenes. Like, we'll see how you guys got your reflection shots and stuff like that. So yeah, but for the most part, that we don't want any editing in that area. Okay. So all right, so that is the challenge that we are issuing to you guys, and your 24 hours begins, and yeah, we'll see what you guys come up with, because man, like I said, what we've seen so far, oh boy, I'm eager to see what you guys come up with with your creative minds. So all right, so with that said, thank you very much for tuning in to the show today. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you are notified as soon as the next episode of the Toytography Challenge shows up. So until next time, thank you once again for tuning in, and we'll see you in our next episode.